Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Unfiltered commentary. And not your truth, the real truth. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your support. Welcome back. I saw this on an episode from Timcast, and I thought it was worth talking about. Senate Democrats propose requiring women to register for military draft. Senate Armed Services Chair Jack Reed has proposed changing draft registration requirements to include all Americans. Now, boy, this definitely falls under the category. Ladies, be careful what you wish for, because you may well get it. Just watching a YouTube channel called Popcorn in Bed. It's a young lady that does reaction videos to movies. And she went through the entire Band of Brothers series. Pretty graphic stuff. It's horrendous. The mental, physical destruction, arms and legs flying off, pieces of metal just ripping through bodies, minds shattered. It's just unbelievable. It's incredibly well made. And you could see on Saving Private Ryan, I believe, when it hit the beaches on D-Day. Carnage. And she reacted, of course. She was overwhelmed by it emotionally. And this is what ladies want. This is the patriarchy, the men that control everything, and they have it made, and, you know, okay. All right. When the bodies are piling up in Iraq and Afghanistan. Not a lot of blue-haired feminists there. Anyway, let's read on. Senate Democrats are proposing a sweeping rewrite of the military draft laws aimed at requiring women to register for the selective service. According to a draft authored by Senate Arms Chair Jack Reed and obtained by Politico, the change in the selective service would be attached to the National Defense Authorization Act, a defense policy bill that's one of the few pieces of legislation considered a must-pass by Congress. The move would reignite a contentious debate over whether women could be required to register for the draft, a move House and Senate have each considered in recent years, though the change has never become law. The language proposed by Reed, Democrat, Rhode Island, would expand registration of the service to all Americans, striking explicit references to males. Expected to be considered during the committee and markup this week, floor action on the bill would wait until later this year. A spokesman for Reed declined to comment. Currently, law states that U.S. men must register for the service when they turn 18 for potential military conscription, though no one has been drafted in the military in more than 4 decades. Men who fail to register for the draft can be fined, imprisoned, or denied federal jobs. Now, I'll be 65 this November. I just missed Vietnam by a year or two. It's too young. But I remember when I turned 18 in 1974, I had to get a draft card. I had to sign up for it. It's not even a picture ID. It's just a piece of paper saying that you signed up for it. And I used to use it for ID to get into bars and stuff, you know. So it's, I didn't like it. I knew Vietnam was basically over, and it was over. It made me feel uncomfortable, but I lucked out as far as age goes in military service in war. Now, here's the deal. Here's what I'm thinking. A lot of feminists are against this. And their heads are exploding. Because here's their problem. Because of the batshit crazy, and when I say feminists, I mean the mean-spirited, the poisonous, hate-filled, what do they call them, third-wave feminists? I forget the number now. It's just filled with anger and bitterness towards men. Their heads are exploding because if they don't go along with this, they're admitting that there's a difference between men and women, and that just it can't happen in their brain. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a shrink. But when you've been devoting your life to a cause that is absolute bullshit and not true at all, and then something like this comes along and creates a conflict in your mind, because if you go against women being drafted, you're saying that men and women are different and that they just can't handle mentally. That means that trans women aren't women, trans men aren't men, and everything they believe in and all the bitterness and hatred and animosity they have comes to the surface and their heads just explode. And there's a lot of feminists that are against this. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description to a Atlantic magazine, a magazine article from 1903, I believe, written by a woman concerning suffrage, i.e. women voting, and their participation in government and everything else is interesting. They had an idea back, the saying goes, service guarantees citizenship. I forget what TV show that is, but what it means is you join the military, you get citizenship, i.e. the right to vote, or do something else for the community. Your service that guarantees you the right to vote. I'm not so against that, frankly. I'm not so against the fact that you have to contribute to your local community, no matter how minor. I'm not talking about going into battle. I'm talking about whatever the community decides or that state decides is acceptable list of services to give for free, i.e. volunteer, in order to allow you to vote. I can't even tell you how many video after video after video I see from PragerU and other conservative YouTube channels that will interview young people on the beaches and on vacation spots for spring break and ask them basic questions. My favorite one was to the young lady. She was asked, how many U.S. senators are there? And she was totally dumbfounded. So the interviewer said, I'll give you a hint. There's 2 in each state. And she said, 37? He says, you're wrong twice. She goes, how can I be wrong twice? She goes, well, first of all, if there's 2 in each state, it has to be an even number. And she goes, oh. And there's 50 states, so there's 100. Oh, she didn't know that. These are the people that absolutely know nothing about our country, our history, how our government is set up, just basic fundamental stuff that third graders should know. And these people are going out and voting. So do I think they should be voting? Actually, no. Unless they have some kind of understanding about the background of our government, how it works, the fundamentals of it, just basic civics 101. I'm not asking them to dive into Supreme Court cases and all kinds of crazy stuff. Just know how the system is set up, and they don't even know it. And they're just voting what they see now on social media. And that's dangerous. Not because I think the individual will vote differently than me, because they have no clue why they're voting and who they're voting for. That's incredibly dangerous. But I digress. But I think that's the deal. I think that's fair. Whether to include women in the draft became the subject of a marquee defense battle on Capitol Hill in 2016. The Senate voted to make the change as part of the annual defense policy bill with the backing of then Senate Armed Services Chair John McCain, despite opposition mostly raised by conservative Republicans. Well, there you have it, ladies. If you're looking for protection from getting your arms and legs blown off, to have pieces of metal ripped through the side of your face or your stomach ripped out by shrapnel, the ones that are looking out for you are the conservative Republicans. Think about that for a minute. making women eligible for the draft won bipartisan support from the Armed Services Committee at the time. Half the panel's GOP members sided with Democrats against a conservative effort to strip the language, including 5 who still serve in the Senate. Deb Fisher in Nebraska, Joni Nurse, Iowa, Tom Tillis, North Carolina, Dan Sullivan, Alaska, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. The Armed Services Committee adopted a similar proposition, which was later stripped from the bill. Rather than go forward with a major change, the lawmakers compromised, creating an independent commission to study. Yeah, that's what they do. We'll do a study on it. That way we can bury it. The 11-panel final report issued in March of 2020, back requiring women to register for the draft among other recommendations. And this, people say all the time, well, Black Lives Matter, all the progressives, they're looking for equity. Well, equity is not equality. It's not the same. And this is, their heads are going to explode. When a young girl has to sign up for a draft, whether there's a war or not, or there's a conflict or not, their heads are going to explode. So in a way, I'm kind of glad, because these young so-called third-wave feminists, they're 17, 18 years old now, are going to get a taste of reality. It's unbelievable to me. But I'm going to leave. It's a very long article in the Atlantic from 1903, and I think the woman that wrote it makes an excellent case. She basically says government, war, firefighters, police, all those things that men do, let them do it. See, their service guarantees their citizenship, i.e. voting. I'll just step away, thank you, because my role in society is different than men's. She explains in detail how that is, but I'll just give you just a brief look at it now. Now, this is a very short piece from the long article. This much seems clear to me, and I hope it is clear to the readers also. First, that the family is the basis of society from which it grows. And the progressives, Black Lives Matter, they're actually said in plain English, we want to destroy the nuclear family. Second, that the basis of the family and therefore of society is a difference between the sexes. A difference which is inherent, temperamental, functional. Men and women are different. What a shock. But now, the progressive nutbars, and by the way, all you Biden voters out there, this is what you voted for. This is what you voted for. I don't want to say, well, I didn't know. Well, you weren't paying attention. Because the 15, 20%, the batshit crazy progressives are run the Democrat Party, i.e. now they run the White House. Third, that the military function, all its forms and phases, belongs to man that has no right to thrust it upon women or to ask her to share it with them. That it is his duty and his exclusively to do that battling with the elements which arrest a livelihood from a reluctant or resisting nature, and which is therefore the prerequisite to all productive industry, and that battling with the enemies of society which compels them to respect its rights, and which therefore the primary condition of government. They wrote a lot better and spoke a lot more eloquently 100-odd years ago. The early 20th century, late 19th century is my favorite time in U.S. history. I wish I had lived there. But of course, then again, if I did, I'd be dead now. Let's go back and then finish up with the article from Politico. So I'll leave this with this. What do you guys think? All you third-wave feminists, you got what you wanted. You got your equality to get your heads blown off, your arms and limbs ripped out of its sockets, to come home with pieces of you missing forever, to be disabled, artificial arms, artificial legs, wheelchairs, blinded, mentally just destroyed, and have nightmares the rest of your life. Well, ladies, third wave feminists, you got what you wanted. Be careful what you wish for. How does it taste? Until the next time, goodbye and good luck.